I was in the 6th grade at the International School of Düsseldorf. Some of the kids had varsity jackets, like the ones that I'd only seen in the American teen movies. I soon realized that to really matter in the school, you had to have one of those jackets. But of course, only the competing school athletes could get one. And I didn't like sports, but I needed to fit in. My PE teacher, Mr. Anderson, he believed in the power of exercise, and he believed in me. He saw a lanky Norwegian girl, a foot taller than all of the boys in her year, and he thought that I would be the perfect addition to the track and field team. I explained to Mr. Anderson that my appearance were just a consequence of my Scandinavian genes and no testament to my athletic abilities. But he had dreams of me breaking records for him at the next competition against the other schools. So I got my jacket, and Mr. Anderson probably never recovered from the horrendous results that I performed at the 1991 Luxembourg track meet. Sports isn't for everyone. Of course, exercise is healthy, but you have to keep in mind that we are living in a hyper-individualistic society. Exercise is no longer your PE teacher's high hopes for you. Consumerism, masked as health, is actually giving us stress and loneliness. A lot of people are making a lot of money by making you feel that you're not healthy enough, not fit enough, not strong enough, not pretty enough, not good enough. Loneliness is now recognized as one of the main public health issues. And as you know, what we do with most health issues, the #1 recommendation for almost anything is to exercise. But actually, there is another thing that is just as healthy as exercise. The mental and physical benefits of contributing to a greater good has been proven for years. Volunteers move more. They have a lower risk of high blood pressure. Volunteering reduces the symptoms of chronic pain and greatly reduces the risk for heart disease. So just as those who exercise, volunteers live longer. Volunteering is actually very, very healthy. Recent studies have shown that the benefits for teens who volunteer may be even greater. In a study done by the University of Texas, with over 52,000 kids under 17, showed that those who volunteer did better in school, did better in the face of challenge and obstacles. They were 33% more likely to be in good health than those who didn't volunteer. And they were between 18 to 35% less likely to experience anxiety or depression. Engaging in a cause takes away from the constant focus on the self. Society's over-focusing on boundaries, self-improvement, self-care, self. It turns out that beyond a certain threshold, all that self just isn't healthy anymore. Instead, when people come together for a greater cause or a common interest, or something that they care about, that's when the magic happens. Just like in team sports. But what we also know is that most of you will have a hard time finding that interest. Most of you will have a hard time finding out what your passion is. And even more important,
what your resources are that could help create a better world. Now, every community has a sports team where you can try out your abilities and your interests with a coach, with a dedicated coach, but very few societies offer dedicated coaches or supportive coaches if what you want to explore is how to change the world. And that's why we created the Democracy Project in the municipality of Kristiansand in Norway. We created a space where youth could come to explore their passions and their subjects. We created a safe and social and fun place where youth could come and try out different ways of free expression. They could try speaking or debating or any form of art. They could try podcasts or making workshops, anything that they wanted to explore on their way to making a better world. This is Olimana. When I met Ollie, she was at a low point in her life. She had moved to a smaller town where she never quite fit in. Ollie was never bullied or specifically targeted, but she could feel the systemic racism with every fiber in her body, especially after her school became famous nationwide for an ugly case of racism against 2 other students. Ollie spoke up, but it didn't make a difference. She wasn't heard, it didn't make a change, so she stopped. The situation made Ollie feel small, insignificant, like her opinion didn't matter, and she felt very, very lonely. Ollie was both very smart, very wise, and stronger than most, but she had no role models and no support in her own community. And then she joined the Democracy Project. If Olimana could be here on stage with me today, she would be. And she would tell you that the project changed her life. When I called her and asked her if I could share her story with you here today, she got so excited. And she said that she was so happy because this is an idea that's truly worth spreading. She asked me to tell you that when I joined, I was so surprised because I was finally taken seriously. I was listened to by adults and peers. I could do something with my passion against racism and for equality. And all of that frustration was appreciated and understood. It gave me practice in how to accept pushbacks, critique, and rejection. It was different from projects in school because we're always dealing with issues that I'm truly passionate about. And better because the community was connected, inclusive, and supportive on a different level. And she told me, even when I don't succeed in other areas, after I joined the project, I always feel okay because I know what I'm capable of. And I have people who, even if they don't agree with me, support me, root, and cheer for me. Because it's not only in sports that we need cheering on. This is Ollie leading this is Ollie speaking at some of the workshops that she's hosted. This is Ollie speaking on a panel at the Regional Peace Center. This is her leading a conference and a debate in front of over 400 people. This is her winning an art show. This is her in an exclusive back room of the state parliament in Norway, having a conversation over lunch with a parliamentary representative. And this is her after a debate about how police handle hate speech in Norway. And this is her after she really got to say her piece at the town hall in front of decision makers and politicians and the school headmaster at the school where she had tried to speak a year before but was never heard. And this is how Ollie says that the Democracy Project makes her feel. In 1 year, Ollie went from feeling powerless and not having a voice to having the ear of decision makers and being a role model to use in her community. Not only did volunteering give Ollie lifelong friends and a boyfriend, but it also significantly improved her mental and physical health. Team sports is arguably one of the most community-building things that you can do. And if you love lifting weights, then exercise is good for you. But don't be fooled into thinking that obsessing about your looks or following some health regime is what's going to make you healthy or happy, because it might end up doing the opposite. Because your health and happiness is deeply connected to the health and happiness of those around you and the world. That's why Ollie and I made our own list with tips that we think are better than all of that exercise advice. We encourage you to find a cause outside yourself that makes your heart pound just a little bit harder. Seek out and engage in relationships with people who you don't agree with. Be careful not to confuse the concept of healthy boundaries and self-care with only doing what you want for yourself. Move your body, that's important, but exercise your compassion, your solidarity, your accountability, and your contribution to the world around you. And if you do that, then I'll agree that exercise is good for you. Thank you.